Yes, thank you. As we did have a couple of issues with hurricanes, power, all that type of stuff. A lot of stuff going on, but also a lot of stuff going on in the industry in general. But first things first, guys. Literally right before we went on the air, Judge, he did it. Judge hit number 62. And so I'm going to pull up the video here in just a moment for you guys to check it out. But first thoughts on Judge hitting 62. What do you think?
I think the pressure's off. I think there's a chance for a couple more real quick before the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, hey, buddy. Hey, bud, you're supposed to be asleep. We got Jude joining the show, but I think it's because he wants to see this. Judge, say hi. You're on camera. Judge hitting 62. We'll pull it up. Yeah, I think it's quite impressive personally. Well, we'll see if we can get this to go.
Yeah, the TV's not working.
Okay, well. All right, bud, hop to bed. Hop to bed. Okay, hold on. We're having a little technical difficulties here. Technical difficulties are always fun.
Brody, if you got the ball, would you keep it or sell it?
I'd sell it
as quick as possible.
Yeah, probably. I think for Judge, for Pujols, I would have took a different approach, but for Judge, I would sell it. I feel like there's a chance that maybe one of these years he'll hit even more in 62. So, because he's still pretty young, so we'll see.
I also think these balls, for some reason, they always seem to sell for a lot right after, and then you never really hear about them again. I don't know if it's a recency bias on the price, but I wonder what happened to all those home run balls from a couple of years ago that everybody was spending millions on.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thought on Pujols. Tell me if you disagree. Would you rather have his number 700 or whatever number he finishes on?
I'd rather have whatever number he finishes on. That's what
I think the person, if I know they would went to the bullpen, but if they were talking about all the money for 700 that somebody would get, mm-hmm. I think it becomes almost not worthless, but the value drops the second he hit 701.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I wonder about that with Judge too. Is 62 going to hold value because it's the new record? And people are offering $2 million. Well, what if he hits one tomorrow?
Right.
I'd rather one tomorrow. So
there's still a double header, so he's probably going to get a couple more at bats tonight too. So who knows?
I'm in Vegas, so I have no financial interest in whether or not he hits a home run. That is unrelated to anything that we're talking about. Let's just say, as an Oriole fan, this might be the first time I'm rooting for the Yankees. But I will say one of the vibes, just being in the sports book here, is people from all over the country following Judge. Mm-hmm. I just outside of the playoffs. You don't usually see baseball fans come together for one thing. It's usually city by city. So right. It's really kind of watch everybody watching the same game, cheering together.
Yep.
That's been a cool vibe to see at the sports book.
No, absolutely. And guys, sorry about that. Apparently, Judge's home run is so important that it literally broke my computer. So, yeah, it was a big one. Sorry about that little delay there for just a second. I did hear you guys real quick before I ended up crashing, trying to show you guys the Judge home run ball, what you would do with the ball. And if it's me, I sell that ball right away. Pujols completely different. Pujols, I think, is something that is massively different for a lot of different reasons. But if it's Judge with me, no, I'm selling that ball immediately. But that's just me.
So here was my thought. My thought is, if you got ball 700, would you rather have that or 703 or whatever he finishes on?
I'd rather have 700, honestly, because 700 is a milestone in the hobby. Yes, I know it's not his last one, but now I'm talking strictly as a collector right here, not as someone that's getting his ball to try and sell it. If I'm a collector, I want that number 700. When he hit that milestone that so few had ever done, that's the ball that I would want in my collection. 703 to me is just okay, it's his last home run. That's cool. But 700 is, to me, crossing that milestone. So that I would put more importance on that for a personal collection. Now, selling, completely different.
So if you could get Babe Ruth 714 or 700, you would take 700?
700. Yep.
Not 714?
Yes, 700.
Wow.
Yep.
I disagree with the
Well,
history.
no. Wait. Babe Ruth, 714. I would take Babe Ruth, 714. Pujols, 700. Big difference.
Why? Interesting.
Well, because Babe Ruth, I mean, 714, that was the record for so long. That was such an iconic number for, so long before it was eventually, touched, that I would want that one over 700 on that, just because it was a record that stood the test of time for so long. I guess to me, I look at it more as just personal thoughts on it, because I'm speaking, as I said, like from a collector standpoint, not in any way, shape, or form thinking about moving it.
Sure. And then I guess the mystery, then the hard ones, is Hank Aaron. Is it 700? Is it 715? Or is it 755?
Right.
Yeah.
No. It's definitely. I mean, I think it comes down to. I mean, it's going to come down to personal preference. If you're talking collecting, if you're talking selling, it's going to be interesting because you're starting to see now baseballs, memorabilia, and stuff like that. It's always sold for great money, but now it's really selling for money. You've got bounties coming out on everything when they don't even know what's coming up, big time. And now that that's coming up, selling, it's a completely different ball game. And I think you're going to start to see a lot more of these important and big, known balls start to surface.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's funny that how many of these have been ending up in bullpens back to 715 for Aaron. These guys are getting off a little bit lucky, and the fans are losing out on some money.
No, they absolutely are. And Brody, I've got a question for you. This is something that I've wondered for a long time. And guys, please call in and join the show. As you guys know, this show is about you guys and all about what you want to talk about. So posted the link here in the chat. Please feel free to call in. We would love to have you call in and speak on this question yourself as well. But Brody, you're a young cat. How old are you now?
14.
All right, 14 going on 35 or so. All right, so as a 14-year-old kid, I know you're obviously heavily involved in sports, baseball, everything like that. With Judge hitting this number right here, a lot of people are saying whatever, it's a Yankee record, that's it. Other people are saying it's a home run record. Other people saying it's meaningless, blah, blah, blah. How does your era and yourself view the steroid era, the McGuire, the Sosa time? Do you guys view, like, does it matter to you? I mean, obviously you weren't watching these games. Does it matter to, the youth of today? Is this something that you guys look at? Do you disregard it? How is it shown in, from your friends, yourself, and things like that?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. Wow. I personally, for me, I think I would want Barry Bonds' ball, and I think Barry Bonds, he deserves the home run record. I mean, and I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just because once the steroid era started and he come out, you see the numbers he put up before that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, like, no doubt, if he would have kept going like that, he would have been in the Hall of Fame. So that's just my personal view, especially being a huge baseball fan. But for other people that might be, likes baseball but are kind of into all sorts of stuff, it might be a little different.
So like say you're playing on a baseball team and you're hanging out that wherever you guys hang out nowadays. I have no idea if you guys even go out nowadays, but when you hang out with your friends and everything, is it Bonds, McGuire, and Sosa? Is that the home run records that you guys go by, or do you discount those?
We usually go by Bonds.
Okay. Something I was always interested to know because you weren't there to see a lot of it. So something I was curious as to how you viewed everything.
Yeah, we usually I like to go by Bonds, but also know that like Hank was really close without and being in the steroid era, but
Right.
knowing also Bonds does technically have the record.
Sure.
So it's kind of it's hard, but yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, it was weird if you remember at the time that the commissioner, there was a debate whether or not he was even going to show up, stand up when it happened. I mean, there were so many things, because there was such controversy around it. In hindsight, it was kind of an open debate even when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also was thinking about this the other day too, and going into the playoffs, as Pujols and Judge will both be in the playoffs. Yeah. I was like, wonder. Pujols came out in the second half and he's hitting home run after home run after home run. Wouldn't it be something if they tested him if he was on steroids? But from baseball's perspective, they're not going to have him test because that would just totally mess the entire playoffs up then. Yeah. But it would be interesting if something like that ever came out that said Judge was on steroids at the beginning or Pujols was on it at the end. That's why it went on such a tear.
But if it does, from what I'm hearing, it doesn't matter, at least to the youth and the people that are coming and the new generation, so to speak. Because I mean, we're all Danny and I, we're getting older. We're our opinions aren't about matter as much as y'all's and everything. You're going to be controlling everything, so. It's interesting to see the viewpoint on that, and that's something I've always wondered. But I do agree with you. There's no way Major League Baseball in any way, shape, or form wants to test either of these guys whatsoever right now.
Yeah.
I'll ask both of you a question. Do you feel differently on guys before and after the steroid rule was actually enacted? Because a lot of people forget.
No, because there's been cheating forever in baseball. We all know there has. I mean, in all different shapes or forms, you can say some may have helped better than others, but regardless, it's cheating. There's been cheating going on through all of baseball. There's countless Hall of Famers that have admitted to, doing things that are illegal now. The rules weren't the same. It might not have been considered cheating by the letter of the law, but they were doing things they weren't supposed to do, enhancing their body in any way they can to get any type of advantage. So I just don't see, I mean, to me, no, because, they've been cheating forever.
Well, you're right, too, because, I mean, you see it in all the time. You see the Astros cheating. You see the steroid era.
There's a team cheating tonight. I guarantee you. There's a team cheating tonight in some way, shape, or form.
I'm surprised. There's got to be some way, right?
Yeah.
Is all cheating equal?
I think at this point in time with baseball, it has to be.
I mean,
you've allowed it for so long, and
I mean, is stealing signs from second the same thing as steroids?
Well, I mean, no, in terms of individual stats. Individual stats, of course not. A steroid's going to help you a lot more, pad your stats and do things like that. But I don't. To me, it's something that's there. We know it's been known it's there. Major League Baseball did not. If you're not going to do anything about it, which they really never did until way when it was over with and done with. If you're not going to do anything about it right away, then you're acknowledging that you're okay with it. So if the league is okay with it, the Players Association loves it, then I mean, it is what it is with baseball nowadays. I think that's just what it's come to.
Mm-hmm.
Does the card market mirror that? Because I think the card market does not at all support the steroid players like they do the other guys.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I will agree with that. I think collectors, and Brody, I'd like to know your opinion on this as well. I definitely think collectors devalue that 100%. Bonds may be an exception, as I know, as quite a few cards sell very, 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 very well. I think they'd sell a lot better had he not done steroids. But yes, I think the card market, the memorabilia market, but also you got to remember Mark McGwire. There was so much fake stuff out of him. It kind of devalued everything with him because the Sosa McGwire fakes that are out there, there's 20 times more fakes than they ever signed. So, I mean, I think that had a lot to do with a lot of their collectability being hampered. I know it did, but McGwire, there's articles talking about it that have been written 10, 20 years ago. But, yeah, the card market definitely takes a hit from it.
Well, yeah, I think I argue the same thing for the Astros, too. I mean, you could tell a lot of the good veterans on their prices are not that high. I mean, it's an interesting one, though, considering, I mean, they cheated in 2019 and it came out in 2020, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, too, because then you have 2019 rookies, you have Kyle Tucker, and then 2020 Jordan's a rookie. So then it gets interesting. It's like, do you devalue the rookie card because he was like in the cheating era, but
right.
Was he cheating or was he a part of it?
Yeah.
One's kind of interesting. But you see it even with Pete Rose, because Rose, Leaf was able to do $20 blasters where you got a set and an autograph of Pete Rose, and you could find them everywhere.
Oh,
and Pete Rose put up some of the greatest stats ever.
Oh,
but he might also be the easiest autograph ever. So
ever,
yeah.
He'll sign 20 things for you while he's eating. I've seen him do it. Paige and Tenenbaum says, enough chicken and egg. Can we see some ball cards? So as we did last week, time to take a quick break real quick and show off some ball cards. If you guys got any cards to show off, we actually hit this on Letter Rip. I'll show this one off for you, brother. 1 and 2 from Immaculate Collegiate Mike Trout shoe tongue patch.
Ooh.
Yeah, 1 and 2. Pretty sweet right there for you. So I know you like to see some cards. So there's some cards. We've got a beautiful Pepe Kaboom out there. Brody, you got any cards on the desk or anything around?
I had one right.
Showing off cards.
Let me grab it real quick. I think it's right by me, but I'm
cool. This is my very, very awful segue here by taking a comment and turning it into a segment. But very nicely done, Paige. We always like to show off some cards here. But there you go. What you got?
Let me get the shirt from
the
Industry Summit pack, and this was sealed, but we've got Kevin O'Neill,
nice,
David Reel,
nice,
Joe Davis, Mike Jespersen, the great Grayson White, and of course Tracy Hackler.
There you go.
That's my complete Industry Summit. It's not authenticated or graded yet, but that's the full set.
I'm incredibly jealous of that. If you find any more of them, let me know. I want to buy one.
I will see if I can hook you up with that.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, I got
ooh.
Yeah, 6 of 10 from a silver pack. I got it at Chris Keller's trade night from Top Shelf Breaks.
Very nice.
So now he's playing. He already took Trubisky's spot, so that was pretty cool. I also did do a YouTube video. It's my latest video. I encourage you to check it out because I pulled an IO autograph from a Donruss retail pack.
Oh, very nice. Io's one of my favorites, dude. I love that kid. That's a solid one right there.
Yeah. And for me, he's from Chicago. He went to Illinois and is on the Bulls. So
yeah, Nah, it's
Illinois,
perfect.
Illinois. My dad went to Illinois, so I'm a huge Illinois fan. And then on the Bulls, it's like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
Just glad,
absolutely.
I'm glad that he fell to the second round instead of getting picked in the first round and going to the Jazz or something, and I never get to see him play.
Do
I
you guys
agree.
prospect all sports?
Um,
Any sports?
Yes, I do a different type of prospecting. I have a 3-year rule. I don't judge any player until they're 3 years in the league. That's when my prospecting. I'm looking at guys that go up through the league, and I'm buying cards that I'm expecting in 3 years to go up. I don't really prospect on a guy I think is going to pop off this year and be the hottest guy. I'm going for the guy in 2 years that I can buy as silvers for 10 to $20 and they're worth hundreds, down the line. I do a little bit different prospecting because I like to give people a little bit of actual, I don't know, time to play a game. Unless you're Michael Porter Jr., then you just never will actually get judged. But I do a little bit of prospecting, but not the normal, chase after a million first Bowmans type of deal. Like that's not my style.
Yeah, I do a little bit, not a ton. I mean, because I've always been a huge Bo Bichette fan, so when his first Bowman papers were out, I have so many from
Right.
email purchases when they were like cheap, some paper, and then a ton of paper ones, and then some chrome, and then actually I did prospect from 2020 Bowman Chrome, I think it was. Brenton Doyle, is in the Rockies organization.
Yep.
I had him on my show, and he's a great guy. Had a lot of fun talking to him, and he's in Double A. He's doing pretty well. So I've bought a bunch of first Bowman Chrome autos of him and stuff. Got a cool gold one. So yeah, I've had fun with that. Or prospect the guys that like not like guys that I think I'm going to be able to flip in,
right.
4 years. That's
me. I prospect my East Carolina guys, praying one of them does something outside of my old college neighbor, Chris Johnson. No one's done anything since my neighbor, but one day Alec Burleson or one of these guys will start to do something, or my collection will just remain East Carolina and valuable to one person, me.
For Illinois, my PC for Illinois is Red Grange, and that's going back a long time. So,
yes. Hey, Chris,
I don't think there's a Red Grange rainbow.
Yes, no. And Chris, speaking of Dodgers legend Bo Bichette, make sure to check out on eBay I have a very special Air Bo Bichette Dodgers card up for sale on eBay. That Bo Bichette Dodgers, you gotta love it. But little delayed transition here as you showed us, Danny, your industry summit pack, which I'm very jealous that you're at the industry summit. I'll be at Collecticon in a few weeks, so I wasn't able to do the travel with Jude and everything. Plus, we ended baseball season this Friday. But you've been up there. You've been, I'm assuming, obviously, you're going up there. You've been hitting the floor, hitting everything that's going on. What have you been seeing? Give us a rundown, of how it's felt. What are your thoughts so far on this year's industry summit? And also, what are you expecting?
Yeah, well, this is my first industry summit.
Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, there's actually a card show in the couple days leading up to it, which is an open public ticketed affair. And then the summit itself is a industry business to business summit. It's not a card show. It's information on the hobby.
Right.
The card show aspect was pretty quiet, would be an understatement. I mean, echoes in the room. So that part was I would say more underwhelming. It was actually easier to network with some of the dealers during the show than it was over the last couple of days. But then there's a lot of panels and a lot of discussions, and that's some of the cool stuff. I mean, whatever parts of this hobby you like, there's a panel that covers it. So there's a lot of good information for people who have their own eBay stores, or people that have questions about different parts of the hobby, and you can never learn too much. So that's been really fascinating. In fact, I wish I got to sit in on a couple more of those panels. And then there's a lot of upstart companies and companies that are new to the hobby, and they get a chance to show off and do an elevator pitch, and show themselves to a lot of the local card shops. Most of the attendees are local card shop owners, and so it's an interesting dynamic. It's not like anything I've been to.
Yeah.
I'm a Baltimore East Coast guy, and we don't get any real hobby business to business events in the East Coast.
Absolutely nice. So I'm kind of shocked. So the show itself was dull.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
the event's been wonderful. Now the show. I think part of the reason is there's actually a Las Vegas card show next weekend.
Yes,
and it's a pretty good size. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of dealers who are going to go to the better card show, and none of the dealers who flew in, I think, for the sessions are the people really wanted to set up for the show. These are the owners of the card shops. They're not bringing stuff to set up for the show. And I don't think there was a ton of business on the floor, a ton of action. It seemed, like I said, a lot more getting to catch up with people face to face, people from different parts of the country. And that's one of the nice things about shows all over the country, is getting to see people that we usually see like this online.
Well, I think too, a lot of people talked about how prices at the National are still super expensive. So I wonder if some people are still kind of, especially with it being in Vegas, maybe doubting if there are going to be good deals there or not. I think that's comes into factor too.
Yeah. You also got to remember we're hitting October. I mean, we got Thanksgiving, Christmas, a lot of stuff coming up, and the industry summit. I mean, the card show part of it is really a new aspect that they're pushing. The industry summit's always been more about networking, finding out about what's going on in the industry. Like you said, some of the new stuff that's going on, where companies are headed, and really where the hobby is headed. So with that said, I know you said you wanted to attend a lot more panels than you could, even from ones that you haven't, and even if you've heard some stuff. What's some of the standouts that you've seen so far, and some things that maybe give you hope, and then some things that you're kind of like, any of those moments yet?
Yeah, a whole bunch of them. The 800-pound gorilla, first of all, everybody was waiting for a Fanatics announcement. There was a lot of rumors that something might be announced during the show. I don't know if they're going to try to squeeze it in tomorrow morning. A lot of people will be gone by then. So that was, I think, for a lot of the local card shops, in a very real way that really affects their business, and their income and their family. I had real serious questions and interest to find out any more information about the future of allotments and distribution. So that was, I would say, the real underlying vibe, the show in general. And as far as there was Fanatics panels, and to answer your question, so that was one of the big things is everybody was kind of hanging on every Fanatics word to see if they would give a hint, and there really wasn't any. Women in the hobby, fantastic panel this morning. They just did a great job. Sharon from Black Shaded Wolf, Christina from Card Ladder, and
two of the greatest in the industry,
and Stephanie from Mama Bricks. I mean, all three of them, fantastic, represented the hobby in a much better way than I could. So that was great to listen to. And then, Dr. Beckett, we all know this. I mean, we're so blessed. He was honored and part of a panel, but then he also gave kind of like a TED talk to the room. Let me tell you something. You could have heard a pin drop in there. Nobody tells stories. Nobody articulates like Dr. Beckett. And, for a room full of people who don't get quiet often, he was just unreal. And I think all of us agree that we could listen to him talk all day.
Yeah, I don't doubt for 1 minute that he was one of the highlights of the show, as well as he should be. And we're so honored to have him as part of this Hobby Hotline family for so long now, as Dr. Beckett is an absolute legend and knows more about this industry than I'd say almost anybody in it. He's been through all the ups and downs. He's seen so much more than anyone would ever dream of being able to accumulate. I'm sure someone might get there eventually, but you're never going to have the history that Dr. Beckett has. So,
and as a kid who grew up on the Beckett price guide,
yes.
and I was doing card shows in the 90s, I was living off that.
Right.
So talk about coming full circle.
Oh yeah.
Very, very cool. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So what was I've got to ask, what was Dr. Beckett talking about? How was his outlook on everything? I'm really curious on people's outlooks on the industry right now.
I mean, first of all, anybody who's ever heard his podcast or heard him talk anywhere, he's a very level-headed guy. He's not very emotional. He's not quick to react.
Of course.
He's far more open to technology and social media than I think a lot of his compatriots.
Yes.
He's very good about listening to other people's other content creators, following on social media, and he did a great job of actually calling people out by name. And I'm thinking, wow, Dr. Beckett listens to that podcast,
right?
And so that's in a very real way just goes to talk about we really share the same passion. Even Dr. Beckett down to some guy riding to work in the morning, they're listening to the same podcast,
right?
And that was a really cool thing to kind of see in a very granular way. His passion come through like that.
When I was a guest on his show, the first time I did it, I was blown away with how much he knew about past episodes. It blew me away. He's a student of the game, that's for sure. We got a question here in the chat, well, a comment, and it's kind of off of the Industry Summit side, but it does take place since the Industry Summit talks about where we are in the industry. Kind of fits in here, but Paige and Denneman says, this current era of collecting is eerily similar to 92 through 95. Now, I want to know what you guys think on this first, but I'm just going to say I completely disagree. But I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Well, I'm going to go at you. So, Brody, you want to go first?
I would probably disagree too. I would back up Drew there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say, if they're referring to, let's say, junk wax. If that, I mean, I don't know if those are the years they're hinting at, but let's just call those junk wax for this purpose.
For this, yeah.
We're living through junk parallel.
Okay, I will. All right, I will agree with you through the aspect of I hate referring to it as junk, overproduction, whatever you want to call it. I hate using the word junk in an industry I love. So, junk parallel, sure, we can nickname it that for something cute. Are there too many parallels in a lot of sets? Yes, 100%. But we're nowhere near production numbers that we were in the junk wax era, not remotely close. And the alternative to that is massive amounts of boxes that are base cards, because the only reason these parallels are being created is because they're trying to obviously up the print run to help fulfill the demand that they have. So that's what these parallels are made for. They're not making 25 new parallels because they want that rainbow. They're making them so they can fulfill retail, fulfill the hobby light, the H2s and stuff like that.
Well, they're also creating false scarcity.
Well, they're creating false scarcity on. Well, they're creating false scarcity if you're looking at it as every single card is going to have massive value one day. Because, see, I look at it as we've got the sets that we know are going to, stand the test of time. And then you've got the opportunity for people like my son who like to collect and stuff like that to hit some nice stuff, to hit some parallels. I think it's okay. But I do agree with the too many parallels. I think I think having a binder to have a rainbow when I have a rainbow on my wall right here is ridiculous, and they're 4 years apart. So I do agree it's astronomically skyrocketed. But when we refer to the junk wax era, I mean, you're talking about massive amounts of companies pumping out ridiculous amounts of product, flooding it to the point where no one wanted it and it drove people away. And we're not driving people away from the hobby right now. We're pulling more people in. And that's why I don't compare it to the junk wax era, because the whole point of calling it the junk wax era was there was so much made it scared everybody off. It pushed people out. They didn't want to collect anymore. That's not happening here. Now, whether it's because people have, like you said, haven't figured out the parallel thing or yet, we don't know. But at this moment in time, I can't compare it to that because the hobby's growing, and obviously the demand far outweighs the supply.
Well, I think the only people that could get driven out are some of these new people that we've seen that, you know, I'm just going to say the more controversial people that have joined the hobby recently. I don't want to
Sure.
go into or anything like that. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh gets really popular and there's not as many people at the national that are like from the 21 to 29 age range or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But I think the thing with the parallels is it really goes by company, I think, at this point. Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day too, and I look at the difference between Topps and Panini just in retail in general. And Panini, there's certain parallels just for that retail product, and then there's not the ones you could get in hobby. But when you buy Topps, you could pull the 101 Superfractor that there might be a different one of in hobby. But I also think that it's important too that you have something like retail they could go to that people should be able to find. Having hobby for the more high end people. Then I do kind of like the H2 aspect of it being kind of a mixture of both, but like being able to open hobby but not have to spend a ton of money, and maybe you just get one auto instead of the 5 auto box or whatever. I think I kind of like that aspect. But there's also some products that I really don't think it's based on parallels, and I'm just going to use it on one that's sitting on Drew's desk, and it's the new Panini Elements. Literally my favorite set.
Yes.
It's my favorite set that comes out every year. I love it. The metal autos are so cool. And I think there's some sets where you have stuff like autos with metal and using different elements.
Well, Obsidian too, you know, they got 3 or 4 parallels and that's it. You know, it's not every product. I will say, however, I just looked, Topps Chrome 2022, 25 parallels, not including the printing plates on the base.
Well, and let me throw one other thought out there. How many more sets are there than there used to be?
Oh, there's tons of more.
You guys just named, I mean, a million different sets that you like. And so maybe it's, you know, it's not a ton of parallels in every set, but when you start adding it up and if you want to collect a rookie card of a player, you could literally collect over 1,000 cards in today's market.
Yes, you 1,000% could. And you know, I saw that meme that was out talking about Zion and Jordan cards, which was such a skewed meme because Jordan became Upper Deck exclusive, and if Jordan didn't do an Upper Deck exclusive, he would have been in every single release and every product for the last 25 years. So that meme was ridiculous, but it did highlight how many rookie cards players do have these days, and it is astronomical. But I think it speaks again to the hobby. Now, would I like to see less? Yes. Would I like to see less parallels? Yes. But it comes down to the fact that you're going to the hobby's in a spot right now where they can do 2 things. They can either print different parallels and give people the option of having, whether it be false scarcity or not, have another parallel or have massive amounts of boxes with absolutely no hits whatsoever. And this kind of falls in line with Chris Harris. He says at card shows, there are dollar boxes chock full of these cards that'll never be sold or collected, junk parallels. I disagree with that completely because I do a lot of dollar auctions and I do a lot of stuff on multiple different selling platforms. When I do that, there are massive amounts of people that care greatly about those junk parallels that you call, because they're PC collectors. They're chasing their team. They want their stuff. So while, yes, some of them may not be in there and they may not be worth a ton of money, they're worth something to somebody. And that's what the hobby is about. And so that's why when I look at quote unquote junk era these days, just rounding back to the beginning of everything, I don't see people leaving the hobby because of all of this. When that starts to happen, that's when I say, okay, maybe we're hitting that junk wax type of era. Because until that happens, I just don't see it.
Well, leaving the hobby and oversaturation, are two different things.
Of course, there is.
And maybe the question is, are we at oversaturation?
Are we though? I mean, you could, as diehard collectors like ourselves and people that have been in this hobby for a very long time, I would say, yeah, our answer is probably going to be yes. People that are new into the hobby, people that are just getting into the hobby, I don't know if they think that way because I think they like the access to a lot of stuff. I talk to a lot of collectors that they love Chronicles because they love seeing the different designs of all these different cards. They have no idea it's a set put together so they can literally keep intellectual property rights by using the design every 5 years. They don't realize that. There's different levels of what you know in this hobby. And so I think for a lot of people, especially the new people in this hobby, and I see it at a lot of shows when they come to drop off cards to get graded. They're new in the industry and they just love the cards. And so I don't know. I mean, yes, to us, probably oversaturation. To a lot of people new in the hobby, I think they love the options that they do have. And like I said, supply still is far less than demand. I mean, that's proven.
Well, how many different products a year do you look forward to going out and actually buying the box that you make a point to try to get it at release that you look forward to?
Myself, probably, probably 5 or 6 products per sport.
Per sport total? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's more than I expected. How about Brody?
No, I'm not buying cases, but I'll buy.
No, I know. But you're talking about looking forward to buying a box and going and getting it at release. Yeah, okay. Yeah. 5 per sport.
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there probably too. I think there's some sets that I like, but I just there's not like a reason for me to go buy it. I think like watching a video of somebody opening it and showing me the design and seeing some every now and then in dollar boxes or in a showcase, that's good enough for me. But then there's some products like I just talked about with Elements that's like that gets me excited to see because cards, it's just what I like.
Well, hey, tune in at 10 o'clock tonight. I'm opening this box as soon as we're done.
Yeah, I want to see it. The other thing too is I was thinking about this, and we talked about how many rookie cards because of how many sets. This is why Bowman draft are always super expensive, is because it's not a rookie card; it's their first card, and if Tops and Fanatics are like doing all the sports, the first Bowmans are gonna be like the card. I mean, obviously you're gonna have the high end sets like Transcendent and stuff like that, and there's a lot of higher end sets, but that Bowman first, it takes away value, I feel like, from the rookie card, because why get the rookie card of Adley Rutschman and update when you could go get the 2019 Bowman draft one where there's only one card. He doesn't have any other cards in 2019. Just get that one card.
And how many of those players end up on the same pro team that they're a rookie on too?
Right. Yeah. There's so many. Yeah. I mean, 2021 Bowman came out, and Austin Martin was like the second sought after guy, and he's on a different team. CJ Abrams got traded. He was a huge prospect. I mean, there's a ton. Like the list goes.
Yeah. Every Cubs prospect that they traded away. I mean, it happens all the time.
Well, this gets back to prospecting. So, are you buying the wax to break it open and hit something, or you just enjoy it for the cards, the old fashioned, just kind of sort them and keep them?
No, when you were asking products that I look forward to opening, I was strictly going in terms of I like to open them for myself. Right. I like to open them because I want to see the cards. Now, will I sell some? Sure. But am I looking to sell them? Nah. Like, I'm opening because I want to see the product. Now, do I open wax to quote unquote prospect and possibly hit something? No, not really. My wax opening is with my son for fun. And then the boxes that I want to open for myself, and everything else is much more singles oriented for me. I love the wax market. I think it's great. I get into some breaks every now and then. I have some trusted breakers that I love. I don't get in a ton, but when some stuff comes out, I like to help out some friends and jump in some stuff every once in a while, grab some cards, do something with the kid. It's a lot of fun. But no, I'm not opening. If you're opening wax to prospect, the only product I'm doing that on, if I would do it, would be what you were just talking about, Brody, and that's Bowman, just for the possibility of hitting that card I can sell for $200,000 this week that's going to be worth $10K in a month. Like, that's the only thing I'm doing, and I'm express grading it and selling it right away. But that's it.
I wish more shop owners would pack stuff out. I know it's easier to sell the sealed wax, but I don't know if Brody or if you guys are like me. I like to go to different card shops, whatever city I'm in, and I'd love to buy a pack when I'm in there.
Yes.
So, like you said, something I haven't seen or haven't opened before, but I don't want to drop $200 or $300 to find out what it looks like. Maybe I'll buy a pack first, and then I can go back for a box.
Mm-hmm. Well, the only thing is there's so many products now where it's just one pack, or the cards are in a box, or they're all in one touch, or whatever. Yep. The list goes on. But I mean, yeah, I agree too, because I mean there are card shops where I see they'll put packs out, but it'll just be like your Allen and Ginters and your Stadium Clubs, Chromes, like
base flagship, Donruss,
maybe a couple ones that are a little more expensive, but there's not packs of Prism or Select sitting out there, like never. Like I bought a box of Select Wrestling just because I love the WWE stuff that Panini's put out, but like I'd love to go and buy some packs of it too.
Got some right here. Love WWE.
I love the Panini sets that they've put out so far.
And the reason I asked, I went to a card show in Vegas. I mean, a card shop in Vegas yesterday. I had not been to before, and they actually had more packed out product than I've seen at a shop in a while. And I was thinking how nice this was. I bought one of those, two of those, one of those, and had more fun just seeing all the different products. I just wish more shops could give you that experience.
I agree. And, it's funny you said that because at Collecticon in Kansas City was the first time in I don't know how long that at a card show, they actually had some stuff. They were opening some boxes and selling them by the packs. And it was awesome to be able to.
That's not true. They don't do that.
I know. You would think so, but I actually bought some. It was very, very shocking to me. And it was awesome to see. I'm going to the Hickory show this weekend, and then Collecticon in Denver. Hit me up if you're at any of those shows. But hopefully we see some more. We do have a caller. We got a little bit of time left in the show. We're going to bring him on now. We've got Andrew joining the show. What's going on, Andrew?
Hey, how are you guys?
Doing good.
Right.
Just dropping in, just enjoying the show tonight, watching the Phillies game.
What's the score of that game?
It's 6-0. They have all their minor leaguers in for the night.
Okay, all right. I got money on that game. So
I was I'm in Vegas, so I have a vested interest.
Yeah, I've got a couple parlays that have that game in it, so good to know. But what's up, buddy?
No, just really enjoy the topic about how we're trying to describe what the junk wax era is, and junk wax is just got a negative connotation to it. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it without being too overly generic with that term.
Well, that's one thing.
Mass-produced cardboard.
Right? Yeah.
But that's such a long way of saying it, Danny.
Yeah.
Mass-produced card. Yeah. I think that's why even Drew said, like, we hate to call anything junk in this hobby, but I think that's why
the overproduction era. The overproduction era.
Doesn't have the same ring. I agree.
It has to have some kind of acronym or something other than junk, like the MPE or something like that.
There you go. Well, we got OPG. We can call it the OPE, the overproduced era. There you go.
That's not bad.
Not bad, but yeah. So what are your thoughts on today's market? And where we are today compared to where we were in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well, my son's 7 years old, so for him to get involved in players that he gets to watch on TV, it's Topps opening day or bust for him, as far as like being able to get something that he wants with his own, I just don't.
Right.
I can't let him get involved in something that's $300 a box and not really know how to, care for a card at age 7. So he's pretty much, in the Topps opening day, learning how to open packs and taking care of cards is something that I'm trying to teach him as we're going here. But
very nice.
You make a good too, though, because it's almost like with some of the prices in this hobby, it's almost like you want to watch your kid enjoy it and enjoy collecting their favorite stuff, and like you said, teaching them how to sort and all that stuff. But in reality, you don't really want to teach them. There's a $300 set coming out. You got to buy that right now because it's going to be worth $400 next month.
And I'm teaching him, I'm trying to get him more engaged with some of the older players. I want him to learn about Ken Griffey Jr. and Derek Jeter and all the guys from the 90s and something like this. We're talking about 1996 Flair update. I picked this up at a local card shop today for $20. There's 24 packs in here.
There you go.
There's nothing really fantastic as far as value in these card boxes, but he's learning to look through a pack at a very cheap rate. It's not breaking the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons that I do like the card shops to sell the packs, so kids can be more involved and you don't have to worry about that $300 box. And you know what? Should they really hit $100,000 card when you bought one pack, biggest problem you have to deal with, so be it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They'll give you a top loader at the shop, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'd assume so. Maybe even a one touch. Who knows?
Right.
All right. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for calling in, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me have a little bit of time on here. I appreciate it.
Anytime. After all, everybody, this is your show. So feel free to call in. Any comments, anything you want to say, video, audio, click that link. Super simple. We always love to have you guys call in the show. It's a ton of fun. Love having callers on the show. It's been a while, so very, very glad to have some of you guys in. And welcome everybody also who's here maybe watching Overtime for the first time that caught us on Bench Clear Media where we debuted Hobby Hotline this Saturday. Welcome everybody over from Bench Clear. This will be where our Tuesday shows will be, and you can catch all the old episodes on here as well. But I'll welcome everybody from there as well. So, yeah, so we got a couple minutes here left before we wrap up the show. So I guess we'll dive into one thing before we go real quick, and that I just want to get everyone y'all's opinion on this because I thought it was pretty interesting. For a long time, the shoe world and the card world have kind of been, as you said, Danny, before the show, kind of cousins, in the hobby. Well, these cousins started to inbreed, I guess, because we've got Panini Prism Allen Iverson shoes that have now been dropped in multiple different color waves, black finites. I mean, tons of really different quote unquote parallels or colorways, whatever you want to choose. But what do you guys think about Panini diving in and working with Reebok in this case? But I have a feeling you're going to see Topps and a lot of other companies work with companies in the future. But what do you think about Panini jumping into kind of dabbling in the sneaker game?
Well, they started with Prism, so AI is not talking about practice. He's going right
Right.
into the game.
Of course.
We're talking about Prism.
By the way, one of the greatest shoes of all time. Let's just say the original, one of the greatest basketball shoes of all time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think players' shoes people have always liked because of the player's name and the connection to them. I think this just takes it a step further.
So do I. The only thing I don't like about it is having Prism on the back of the shoe. I don't necessarily want the name Prism on the back of the shoe, but it's fine. It's small. It's not heavily detailed, but I do love the colorways. I think it's really cool. But I think it's a natural progression because look, you're a hobby trying to grow. Well, you've got StockX. What were they? They were big into shoes. Then they moved into cards. Well, this is a perfect meld for them. But like you said, they've always been cousins. They've always been those hobbies that, you go to a shoe convention type of show, very similar to a card show, pointing out fakes, looking at nice, awesome stuff, $100,000 shoes, all types of stuff. It's very similar, and the markets are very similar, so I can see the crossover.
eBay did sneaker authentication well before cards.
Yes, absolutely.
And that goes to show you, like you said, the demand, the value, the fact that there are forgeries, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Now, what you said something that scared me. You said there's a lot of variations. Does that mean we're heading into the junk sneaker era?
No, I don't know if there's a lot of variations. I saw like 2 or 3. I think we're good. I think we might be good on parallels. I don't think they're going to do a 28 color run on these. I hope not, at least. But with shoes, they're already doing that. Shoes already have 8 million colorways. Panini could add 28 more in and no one would blink an eye because there's already 95 colorways of whatever Jordan's out this year. And probably 25 more releasing tomorrow. So I think they're way oversaturated on the colorways over there. Talk about limited scarcity. That's something that we could dive into on another show for sure, not involving cards, but very interesting. If you guys haven't checked it out, the answer, the original AI shoes, partnering with Panini for some really cool looking shoes. The shoes look awesome. They look cool. I think it's a partnership you're going to see a lot more of. I do not think in any way, shape, or form this will be the first or near the last. I honestly expect this to grow quite a bit.
I know we're near the end, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when Fanatics takes over with that angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that's very true. How Fanatics wants to do everything. Fanatics obviously, dabbles in everything. So, we'll see what they do. But one thing's for sure, we've had a little crossover, a little inbreeding, and Panini and Reebok making some beautiful little things. And as Kuderlev says, as we wrap up the show, moving into shoes further takes the manufacturer's eyes off the quality of their cards. Like, they need to be destructed more. I don't know if it necessarily takes the eyes off the cards.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably a licensing agreement. I don't know that they're actually spending a lot of time making the shoe.
Right. No, this is 1,000% a licensing agreement and saying, hey, this is what our cards look like. You have your artist, make some shoes. That's all this agreement is. Panini's not in there designing the shoe. I mean, someone might say, "Hey, I like that," or "Hey, can we put Prism on it?" But they're not designing the shoe.
It'd be a cool redemption.
Yeah. Hey, if you give me a redemption for the AI answer Black Finite, hey, I'm down. I'll take it all day long. Better than who did I pull the other day? Yeah, better than Otto Lopez 6 out of 6. So, whatever. But guys, that is going to wrap up Hobby Hotline Overtime. Make sure to check us. We are live every single Saturday at 11 a.m. over on Bench Clear Media's website. This Saturday, we've got Brad Bethune, Texas Card Dude. We've got Dr. Beckett and Victor, the rookie card expert. Both of them, all three on this Saturday on Bench Clear Media. So Dr. Beckett, as we talked about earlier, check him out on Saturday and ask him some questions that you may have and ask him about the Industry Summit. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another awesome episode of Hobby Hotline Overtime. We will be back next Tuesday for overtime, Saturday for the regular show, 11 a.m., and then always at 9 p.m.
And I want to throw out a happy and healthy New Year to those who celebrate.
Yes, happy and healthy New Year. Yes, 100%. But Danny, Brody, always a pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, y'all have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.